Hello, I'm David Frazier, the President and Chief Market Strategist of Frazier Mayer Research, LLC, and of course the editor and decision maker for our Frazier Strategic Allocator. We're recording this week's Internet TV show on Tuesday, March 21st at around 8 o'clock in the evening. First, let me state an apology because you're due one, and that is I did not record a video in each of the past 2 weeks, and was supposed to be recording these videos on a weekly basis. I was out of town last week, and the prior week I really didn't have anything to say, but that's really no excuse, and I'm not going to let that happen in the future because, you know, I committed and promised that I would be doing these videos once a week, and therefore, even if I don't have anything to say or anything important to say, I'm going to at least do a video and let you know that there's nothing major to talk about. So I've already talked with a few of our subscribers and clients regarding that issue, but all of you are due some comments on that subject. Having said that, I had stated during around the third week of February that my research and experience indicated that U.S. stock prices in general were trading in some temporary overbought territory, and there was a good chance that stocks would pull back for a couple of weeks. And at that time, I contemplated getting out of advising you, our subscribers and clients, to get out of some of my recommended speculative positions, but I decided not to because, as I stated at that time in one of our weekly updates, or I might have, I think it was in a weekly update that I'd stated it, that I was pretty confident there was going to be a pullback, but I thought it would be short-lived, and therefore I didn't want to risk getting folks out of stocks and not be able to get them back in at the right price. Quite honestly, I regret making that decision for our speculative portfolio, not only for our speculative portfolio. And the reason being, our speculative portfolio is meant to be a more active portfolio than either our fixed income portfolio or our growth and income portfolio. And, hindsight's one thing. It doesn't do any good to, regret, but I am sorry. And the reason being, we've had some fairly substantial pullbacks and a few of the stocks that compose that model portfolio. And, if I'd have just gotten you out, stocks might have kept moving higher, but, there's always risk of a downturn. And we've gotten that downturn, and we missed an opportunity to capture some short-term gains. I'm not going to do that anymore going forward. I'm going to be more active with our speculative portfolio. Meaning that if there's a position that I've recommended and it's up more than possibly even 7%, but definitely more than 10% in a very short period of time, meaning in only a few weeks, and if that same security looks like it's running in some price resistance levels and overbought and getting into overbought territory, I'm going to probably tell you to sell such a security. If it keeps moving higher, so be it. At least we'll still have gains. If it does pull back and I still like what I see in it, then we'll go back into it. Okay, enough about that. One thing that I've learned over my almost 30 years of trading, speculating, and investing in the financial markets, you don't sit around and get emotional about stuff. You stick to your rules, make decisions, and always move forward. But you also do evaluate your mistakes and focus on correcting those mistakes. And there were some mistakes made with our speculative portfolio. Having said that, and I say that because, the fact of the matter is, I think a lot of you, most of our subscribers and clients, they've subscribed to numerous publications over the years and listened to numerous financial advisors, or so-called advisors. And, most of my experience has been most of those advisors and newsletter writers, you rarely hear them say that they're wrong about anything, that they made a mistake. Well, I'm a very honest person, and integrity is at the top of my. It's very, very important to me having integrity. So if I make a mistake, I'm going to tell you about it, and I'm going to make sure I correct it. Okay. Having said that, I still like all of the securities that compose our speculative portfolio, as well as all of the securities that compose our other portfolios. We did have a pullback that began on March 1st till around the 14th, I think it was. And then stocks rebounded a bit during Thursday and Friday of last week. But then they moved, I don't want to really say sharply lower. That's what I'm thinking, but it's really not true. I mean, if you listen to the media, it's like, oh my gosh, stocks collapsed today on Tuesday, March 21st. But the fact of the matter is, even though the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down, what was the Dow down? Oh, why don't I see that? That's supposed to come right up. 237 points. So it was a fairly big pullback, but it's still only slightly over a percent at these levels. Only a little over 1% in a pullback in the Dow. S&P 500 index was down 1.2%. The Nasdaq Composite Index was down 1.8%. That's quite a decline in the Nasdaq. And the Russell 2000 Index was also down quite a bit, down 2.8%. So overall, it was a fairly negative day in the markets. And so what's going on here? Well, my opinion is, based on my experience, my research, and everything that I do every day of the week, and paying attention to economic, geopolitical news, both of those, economic news from around the world, geopolitical news, looking at the trading action in the markets, listening to people talk about the markets and the psychology of the markets. I think what's going on is two things. One is, as I stated, during late February, we just got into some temporary overbought levels, and there was no big catalyst to continue to push stocks higher over the very short term. And therefore, some people just started doing some selling, taking some profits. We should have done that in our speculative portfolio once again. Okay, we should have. It's in the past. We didn't do it. But I think that's primarily what happened between March 1st and March 14th. And then today, on Tuesday, March 21st, I think it's pretty, very clear, and I think probably everyone that's listening to this video is probably thinking the same thing. It has to do with this health care bill to replace Obamacare. There's a lot of opposition to the bill. Regarding that bill, I've read a lot about it. I've looked into the details of it. I'm going to be very direct with you here. I don't know whether it's a good bill or not. I just don't know. And the reason being, I guess, is I'm a very, very healthy person. Always have been. Last time I was sick was, I literally know the month and the year, September of 1988. I had the flu for 3 days in September of 1988. Haven't been sick since then. Sure, I get a cold here and there, but, down and out sick and up in bed for several days just doesn't happen to me. My gosh, the last time I went to a doctor, I've been to a doctor twice in the past 30 plus years. In 1979 for a physical, and then the last time and I hadn't been to a doctor since then until about 5 years ago when I said, probably ought to go to the doctor and get a physical. I haven't been for a long time, and the doctor told me how healthy I was. Okay, enough about that. You don't need to hear about my health. The reason that I brought that up is because I don't go to the doctor. I don't get sick. I don't have family medical problems. And I'm very, very fortunate. I'm not boasting about that. My gosh, am I fortunate and very grateful that I don't have health problems. So I rarely use healthcare services. But there are people out there, and probably some of you listen to this, that use healthcare services quite a bit and that do have medical problems. And I sincerely, I feel for you. It's horrible. And you probably know more about what should be done in these healthcare bills and what shouldn't be done. I simply don't know. What I do know is this, what probably all of you listening to this video know, and that is I it looks as if the bill that's been decided upon thus far, and my reading is that there's ongoing changes over the past few days, and maybe even more changes to come until there's a vote in the Congress this coming Thursday, is that it just doesn't appear that the bill is really doing much to change the existing Obamacare bill, the bill that's technically named the Patient Protection and Affordability Act, even though there's nothing really affordable about it. So, that's a problem. It's got financial market participants wondering, well, what if this bill doesn't get passed? Is that going to bring negative psychology to the market? Is that going to slow down President Trump's other agenda? And it might, and that's definitely a concern. So I think it's pretty obvious that's what's going on, and that's what's negatively, or at least that's what negatively affected the market today on Tuesday, March 21st. What occurred over the past few weeks was just some normal pullback in stocks, people taking a breather and waiting for more catalyst to bid up stock prices further. Having said that, the economic environment and outlook, it's not what's already happened. That's irrelevant. What happened, once again, what has happened is in the past. But the outlook continues to be very, 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 very favorable. As I've told you, our subscribers and clients, I review and analyze on a regular basis over 100 economic statistics from around the globe. And those statistics, the leading economic indicators, the ones that matter, there's really only about, there's maybe in total around the globe, well, there's probably, if you think about the globe, there's around 50 or more, but not more, around 50 leading economic indicators that have been reliable over many years and forecasting what's likely to happen going forward in economies around the globe. And those statistics, the readings on those indicators have continued to be very, very positive, suggesting that economic conditions are going to continue to improve during the months ahead, and that the pace of economic growth in most regions of the world, at least major regions of the world, is going to accelerate during the coming months. And what does that mean? That means there's going to be more jobs created, not just here in the United States and other parts of the world. Businesses are going to sell more of their products and services. Their profits are going to continue to rise. All this is good for stocks. So because of that, and because at least today, on Tuesday, March 21st, when stocks pulled back fairly sharply, but held above major key price support levels, I see no reasons whatsoever to make any changes to our model portfolios at this time. Quite the contrary. I personally was looking and almost did some buying today. Very, very close to doing some buying. I almost went in and bought some more Granite Construction, Vulcan Materials, Cliffs Natural Resources, Sears I'm looking to buy more of personally. Let's see, what else did I take a sharp look? Well, those were the ones I was focusing on for my personal portfolio. And by the way, that's pretty rare too. You got a lot of these newsletter writers, they never even buy anything. They don't even own any of the stocks, ever buy any of the stocks that they recommend. Well, I do. If I'm going to recommend something, it's because I like it myself. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there. We might have some more downturn in the markets over the next few days, depending on the outcome of this health care bill. I simply don't know. But what I am confident of, regardless of what goes on with this health care bill, it's not going to slow down what's going on economically around the world. And therefore, my opinion will be, for anyone that has any extra money sitting on the sidelines, you should probably be adding to several of our recommended stock positions. So that's it for now, and I'm going to get back to doing what I'm supposed to be doing to begin with, doing these videos every week. And if for some reason it looks like I'm not going to be able to do something in a given week, well, I'll let you know. If there's a good reason for me not doing a video, meaning if maybe I'm going to be out of town or out of the country. So that's it. I thank you for listening, and I'll speak with you again soon.